Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 31st episode of Comic Art Live. I'm Bill Cox, your host, and I've got four other people in the green room right now, and let me bring in my three other moderators to get us going here. Good evening, Glenn, Will, and Mike. How are you guys doing this evening?
Good. How's it going,
I can't
Bill?
believe it's 31, Bill. Like 31.
Wow. It's like Baskin Robbins in here.
We're aging.
We're going to be 31 forever.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. That's right.
31 is an interesting number. I'll tell you what it is after this is over.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, everybody.
Now I'm on pins and needles for like
I just would not want to say anything particularly offensive on air. That's all. But it's all good.
All right. It's green room chatter.
Promise to say something offensive after later.
While we're on the air.
You can comment on it later if you like.
Can I comment on something now? Bill, you have a cute little Superman curly Q coming down. That's cute. Okay, go ahead, Bill.
I'm not sure I see the.
I'm not seeing that. And if it
were,
I don't think
curly Q on Bill's forehead coming down.
Forsooth, I'm thinking we're still in Asgard.
He's doing Superman.
Exactly. Yeah. No. I do have a.
Where's the helmet?
I got a hand of Hellboy back there now.
What?
Yeah, look at that. You see that? That's a new addition.
Closer.
It's actually a prop. I could put it on, but I'm saving that for a meme on Wednesdays or something. We'll see. But I actually helped Anthony. Somebody had contacted me wanting inquiring about like art sales or something, right? And it turned out that they didn't have any art. They just had prints, but they had a bunch of other stuff to sell collectibles wise. And I just said, well, why don't you talk to Anthony? Maybe it's something up more up his alley. But I saw all this stuff that they had, and I said, Anthony, if you get this deal to work out, that I want something, because I've never asked for anything before. And I said, I want the Hellboy Hand of Doom. And a week later, they had it all worked out, and I got it in the mail yesterday, actually. So
that's cool. I actually asked for the Fickle Finger of Fate a few years ago, but that's a whole nother
That's another story for the green room later, I think.
I could say, Fickle Finger of Fate in my household was a running joke. It meant toddler was digging places they shouldn't, and they put the Fickle Finger of Fate. So
I understand.
That's I think that's clean enough, right? Well, maybe not so clean on the finger, but
all right. Enough of this.
Don't we have a guest, Bill?
We do have a guest. We absolutely do.
We have an awesome guest.
Yes, we do. And we have a lot of art to look at tonight, too. He picked out several pieces. So let me bring Mike into the stream. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Avila.
How are you?
Doing good, guys.
Amazing, Mike.
Good evening, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic.
I'm doing well.
It's because you have the magic bed of art behind you.
I've had to downsize recently, so that's why I have to keep most of my art now.
And when back in the day when I was single, I used to pile all my art on the bed when I brought somebody home, and it was like a home run every time.
Didn't
I'm
work.
sure that was the closing moment. Yes.
Not at all.
I always thought it was a water bed.
No, you don't want to mess up the art with the water bed. That's like
no. It was separate.
You're asking for trouble.
Yeah. Speaking of beds, back in the day, I specifically remember the 1996 Chicago Con. Everybody came to our room. Bashar was there. Not Glenn, but Albert Moy was there. A bunch of collectors, and we all had our art. I had my art in the bed. Everybody had their art in piles, and we were all looking at each other's art. At Chicago Con 96, I just remember us using a bed and sorting through everything that night. So that was a fun
sounds
time.
like you got lucky, Mike.
That was around the time I traded Will the Spider-Man 45 cover.
Wow.
That went. No. Oh yeah. Okay.
Right around that time, 96. Yeah.
These are the stories I love listening to.
Happy days.
On this show is where I find out about all the covers that and splashes that I don't know if they're out there or not, and who's had them since when, and who traded who for what. I love all this stuff.
Me too. I agree. Don't get me started.
I wish you'd tell us
your origin. You can get me
tell us where some of those covers were, Will. I mean,
what's
come
that?
on. So, tell us where some of those covers are buried. Stop keeping it to yourself.
What? Silver?
Silver, whatever, you know, twice up. What are you
I
hiding?
love time a lot.
I have lists. Like Santa. But I don't
Right.
deliver.
All right, I hear you.
A different kind of black book.
So yeah, Mike, let's we always like talk about collector's origin stories, how you got started in this whole
Sure.
crazy addiction.
I mean, my origin story was much more recent than most. I don't think I bought a page of art until 2000. I was mostly a comics guy before. As a matter of fact, I remember seeing Walt Simonson. I grew up in Miami. I spent a long time in New York, but I was my formative nerd years were in Miami, and we used to have one major show a year here until about 1990, and it would be at a Howard Johnson's, just off I-95 in North Miami Beach, and they'd have pretty good guests. I met Walt Simonson there one year. Met John Byrne there for the first time there, and I remember kind of shoving aside his pile of ugly black and white pages so I could get him to sign my X-Men 137. Those ugly pages of art were like $25, $30, and I was like, ugh, look, if I could go back and slap 13-year-old me back then, I would, because we just blew a chance to buy affordable pages then. But you know, you fast forward to 2000, I moved to New York. I'm buying up older comics. And then in the search, I'm doing some eBay searches, and I come across a Dazzler page. And I was like, I've always loved the character Dazzler. And I was like, what is that? Original art page? Oh, it's black and white. I literally had no idea about original art. Never really paid attention to it. Had some sketches and whatnot, but for some reason, original comic art had never crossed my mind. I see this page, and I said, I'm going to bid on it. And I think I got it for like $7. And it's literally the first page I ever owned. And it's so cliched and it's so funny because people talk about this on the various art group, but it really is true. It really does start. Oh, you see this. Oh, that was a panel page. Ooh, there's a splash page. And I literally progressed like that. The second page I bought was a crappy splash page from some book, some Marvel book, I don't even remember, and I sold that really quickly. And then my first cover was the next page I bought, and it was a Micronauts from the New Voyages. I forgot which issue it was. It was pretty good. And I got it for an unbelievable price of like $400. I thought it was a fortune back then. And literally the progression that happens to a lot of art collectors happened to me. Panel, splash, cover. And then I just, you know, went whole hog. And then I kind of focused early on Dazzler stuff. And I met John Mancuda that way on the old Yahoo group. I don't even know if that group is still around. And to wrap up a long story, I ended up making like one of my favorite art purchases really early on. I sold a bunch of rare comics that I had, you know, Daredevil #1, X-Men #1, Spidey #1 and 2, and I think I had 14 in really good condition. I sold all those to buy the Dazzler #1 painting that Bob Larkin did because John had it. And I remember I got fleeced, or so I thought back then, but I always said, you know what? It's like a house. The longer you keep it, the better value it is. And I've had it now going on like 15 years, I think.
I was going to ask what year you bought that.
I think it was 04.
Oh, Ford. That's
04,
when we first
05.
met. Yeah.
I remember when you posted it to CAF. It's a beautiful cover. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it is because of that, and I remember when John and I finally consummated the deal and gave him the last payment, he showed up at my office. I was working at NBC at 30 Rockefeller, and he was appearing sometimes there as an extra on SNL. And he shows up like, I think it was Friday night they were rehearsing, and he was showing up to rehearsal, and I sent him the last payment, and I go, we got to bring me the cover. Don't ship it. Bring it to me in person. I don't want to take a chance of it getting, you know, messed up in the mail. And he brought it to me as he was going up to SNL, and he handed me the cover. And then I said, oh, crap. Now I got to walk 10 blocks to my apartment with the most expensive collectible I ever owned in my life right under my arm. And it was super uncomfortable because it's an oversized painting. And it was like, yeah. I literally took it to the frame shop the next morning, and I was petrified until I got back.
Wait,
Did you show it to anybody at SNL?
What happened?
Did you show it to anybody at the office or no?
I showed it to people at the office who didn't give a crap. And
They didn't
paid how much for
understand
that?
it, yeah.
They were like, you paid how much for that? Jeffrey Lyons, who he was the host of the movie show I was producing. So, like, outright laughed at me when I told him what I paid for it. He goes, "Are you out of your mind? It's just superheroes. What are you doing?"
You
Exactly.
you walked 10 blocks to your apartment with it, but it wasn't in a box or anything. It was like exposed. Or?
It was
No.
a bag,
He
right?
had it. No, he had it. He showed up. He wasn't a heathen about it. He brought it in wrapping,
Okay.
but still, I was kind of nervous.
Well, with John, you never know. I'm just trying to.
No, he took care of it.
I was just
John
going to
took
say,
very
be
good care.
careful using the word consummate with John. I mean, John's a friend. Just saying, you got to watch what you say.
That is very true.
You know, I will say this: the term Grail is way overused in our hobby.
Oh.
Way overused. I've used it once for that one, and it stands true. I've looked at that painting probably just about every day that I've had it, because it's been on a wall in an easily accessible room wherever I've lived, and it just puts a smile on my face because I remember where I was the first time I bought it. I've become friends with Bob Larkin as a result of the painting, which makes it even more special. So I kind of feel like I'm the caretaker for what I think is his best work, which is saying something, because his list of covers, things that he's painted is amazing. So that is truly my Grail, because it puts if it makes you happy, that's a Grail.
That is a great Spider-Man cover, Mike. Great Spider-Man cover.
Mike only sees what he wants to see.
Exactly.
I
Well,
always tell people, oh, go ahead, Will.
No, I was just going to say, it's, Dazzler married Disco with Spider-Man, and I think you're a little bit familiar with that.
Yeah. Oh, Disco, you're going to show me. Yeah, that was done without my approval, but I still love it. But I always tell people, to me, Larkin was Alex Ross and Joe Jusko combined decades before both of them, I mean, Larkin was the man that, to me, drew the first guy that drew realistic paintings for comic books.
Absolutely.
I really believe that. Larkin was to me, he's the first, and he's one of the gods of that era.
I agree.
Hugely underrated.
I don't think he gets his due at all.
No, he doesn't. His stuff is amazing. Amazing.
And I don't know. I remember when John had it briefly, and you bought it. I don't know what you paid, and I wouldn't put you on the spot, but I can just say I've owned just a couple of Larkin pieces, and I always thought they were ridiculously cheap. I mean, maybe not so much, in the last 5, 8, 10 years,
right.
But the time frame you're talking about in the early 2000s. I mean, compared to everything else that's contemporary to Larkin, ridiculous.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that. This one, I paid far more for that. I mean, at one point, I think I owned like 4 Larkin paintings. I own this one. I own the Fireside Spider-Man cover where he's doing the Superman thing.
Oh, yeah.
The shirt.
Yeah.
Bob found that in his basement after we became friends. And I go, if you ever find any of your superhero stuff, let me know. I'll buy it from you on the spot. And he called me one day out of the blue, and he told me he found the cover to that book, and he had been buried behind, a bunch of other TV guide paintings that he had, and pulled it out and gave me the price. It's expensive, but like one thing I learned from my dealings with Bob, I feel much better about paying a premium when it goes directly to the artist. And I was happy to do it. I cut him a check probably a little bit above market value then. I've since sold that because I needed money like a lot of us do, and I sold it to Vinny at Metropolis. He's got that one. I own that one. I own the Fantastic Four Fireside book cover. That was a really nice one. And I got that, I thought, for the song. It's really interesting how some of the prices of those covers haven't really gone up that much, because to me, think about all the people that have seen the covers to those Fireside books. They've been seen by hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people, even casual fans. And, I'm just shocked that the prices haven't gone up as much. And a lot of the superhero stuff is kind of in the wind. I know his cover to the second Superman Spider-Man book is pretty much lost. That's never turned up. He gave that to a friend of his who put it up in a bar, I think. And, it hasn't been seen in years.
So
So
I remember that story.
Yeah, that's a great cover.
Wow.
It is.
Yeah, those prices flatlined for years. I remember Mike and I traded a couple of those back and forth. There was one, I mean, not to go into detail because I want you to continue your origin, please, but I traded you one, Mike, and I remember we hung up on the phone, and seriously, this has never happened to me ever. I quickly felt nauseous about trading it, and I remember calling you back within a couple minutes and saying, I got to get this back. And you were nice enough to give it back to me. You did charge me a little bit more, but just a little bit, and I even said I'll pay more. And yeah, but that was one of the only time I was like, I feel sick giving this up. I've never happened.
I mean, for years and years, all the best ones, I mean, even with Spider-Man on them, but all the best ones were like $2,000 to $4,000 in the early 2000s even. I mean, they didn't sell hardly anything.
Even less.
My question to you, sorry, I'm an interviewer by heart and by trade.
That's I was saying that.
So let me ask you three guys, because, and Bill, you too, you guys are quote unquote experts in this. Why is it that painted comic art doesn't seem to appreciate in value as much as the pencil and ink stuff?
I think it is
even
now.
if it's historic?
I think it is now, but it didn't 10, 20 years ago at all. But it does now. I know a lot of guys specifically looking for only painted colored art of certain characters now. So how do you find those? You know?
Also, I mean, I think it depends on the artist. I mean, obviously, like we've seen how well the John Romita, fireside paintings have done. Like those at auction have been ballistic. But yeah, I mean, you're right about Larkin not getting his due, and those covers have been seen like by so many people that it is a little surprising that they didn't take off earlier. But I do think Mike is correct that like they're starting to have their moment in the sun, and you won't be able to pick them up so cheaply anymore unless Larkin finds a few more and gives you a buzz. I think
I'm going to leave for 1 second. I got something to show Mike. He's going to get a kick out.
I'll just add to that, Mike, that I think a lot of it, at least early on, had to do with it was a different medium, and people used to black and white, and all of a sudden here's color pieces, and it, as crazy as it sounds, it just didn't mesh quite the same way. And a lot of colored pieces are on different size boards, different types of boards. So you have I've seen some Larkin paintings that are literally about 8 by 12, and then other ones are like 15 by 20, and then a few are like close to 11 by 17 or 12 by 18, but and all different papers. So I think sometimes it shouldn't matter, but that turned people off.
Yeah, the 70s stuff, almost all of the 70s stuff was apparently done on 15 by 20 boards.
Right.
I also think like, with paint. Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say you can look at like Fastener and Larson too, as well as their work really never went up in great figures of value either, and it was mostly painted, at least back in that same time period as well. And I think you guys are spot on that it's a different medium. Everybody was used to collecting pen and ink work, and okay. Well,
let him finish your thought, Mike.
Go ahead.
Well, no, but I was in agreement with you both. Just thinking because I think about Fastener and Larson as being very prolific during that same time period, and you don't see their but you don't see their work, at least during that time frame, really appreciating a great deal either. And I think you guys are spot on. It's the different sizes. It's just it was probably a little bit harder to find because the dealers maybe weren't picking those same pieces up. They were going for the pen and ink as well. And you had to go to kind of a different market. Like Mike was saying, he had to go direct to the artist to find some of the work that he was looking for. So that could have contributed to the fact that the prices never really skyrocketed early on, but now they're finally starting to catch up.
I also think it's a matter of like, yes, the black and white, but also like for a long period of time, people would come to conventions with their Itoya portfolios, and they were like a specific size. A lot of people like to collect just sort of like the small size 11 by 17 art, and also the black and white art is like it's a painting. You have to institute a little bit more care. I mean, paint can fleck off. The black and white are like almost feel like, I mean, not that they're indestructible, but you put them in Mylar, nothing's really going to happen if you jostle the portfolio. But with paintings, they're a little bit more delicate, and they're not like standard size, and everyone is different. And I just think that like that adds to the idea that like they're a little bit more specialized, and so they weren't sort of like the preferred collectible for quite a while.
Transportation and storage is a factor. Bill, if you don't mind highlighting Larry Wilson's comment, which is 4 or 5 up. I have to wholeheartedly agree. This is just a quick aside from painted pieces. But if you go to a lot of, people consider us old school collectors. I've been doing it 30 years. Glenn's been doing it a little under 30. Mike's been doing it a little more than 30. And, there's guys out there 40 years, 45 years, 50 years. You see their collections, and yeah, they're mostly paneled pages. These guys had not much care for covers because they considered covers. They're like, oh, the top third of the board is blank. It's stat. It's, they wanted all art. And they felt that panel pages were more bang for your buck and more pure to the sequential form. So that's absolutely true.
And plus, back in the day, you can get a whole 20-page story for the price of a cover.
My biggest overall regret as a collector, forget about the specific ones, but my biggest overall regret was that I wanted to just do covers initially, keep my collection small. And I was like, I missed out on so many great things that now are so out of my price range. Because of that thinking, because you really do enjoy panel pages a lot more than you do 99% of the covers out there. There are some exceptions, one of my shoulders are 2, right? And I've got 1 or 2 that I really enjoy, but man, to think of the panel pages that I passed up because I was like, no, I want to go for the covers or even splash pages. And I was like, that was stupid.
No, I mean, I've always felt that way too. I've always liked covers better. When you say, I mean, a really good cover to me blows a panel page away every time, and it's just But again, it has to be like a great cover. Like not all covers are great.
Sure.
The bottom line is covers are the most memorable part of a book. In most cases, of course, there's always super memorable panel pages out there, key pages, but I mean, the covers are the things that I personally remember. That's what I've always concentrated on. But I agree with you. There are some panel pages I passed up on that I kicked myself. But you can't be everywhere at all times and have money all the time and et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, I think from like an artist work point of view, it takes an artist longer to execute a panel page. And so there's more effort that goes into a panel page. But I will say this, I think given the fact that like the cover is like your marketing item, your advertising item for the whole book, there's more brain power, generally speaking, that goes into the planning of a cover. So maybe like the actual execution of the cover didn't take quite so long, but the planning of the cover, which is part of the artistic process, I think makes up for the fact that like, a panel page may actually take an artist longer to execute. And so, And
I will even go one step further in saying a splash page takes almost as much execution as a cover. And I always was a fan of splash pages over covers, only because back in the day, 3 splash pages were the equivalent of a cover. So you could almost get 3 splash pages, and a lot of times the splash pages you get more art than a cover. And I always said, if it's a great splash, wow, you can get a great splash for 1/3 the price of a cover. I'm going to go for that. So that's why a lot of times I traded covers away for splashes.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for doing that. But the whole time you did that, I used to say splashes are more bang for your buck because generally the art goes from the top to the bottom. Many times, especially older pieces, the logos, the masthead, everything is drawn on the splash.
Right.
Oh, go ahead, Bill. I thought you were saying thank you for doing that because he was trading the covers to you, Will.
And you.
And me.
Glenn got my Spidey 71. Glenn got my Spidey 68. I remember. You got a bunch of mine.
I got the Will.
No, I got the 68, and then Glenn pried it from my hands.
Oh, here I kept thinking I traded to Glenn. I didn't remember that.
He flew out here.
Wow, that's crazy. Hey, real quick, I was just gonna say, in honor of Mike Avilla.
Oh man!
Oh, look at that.
This is 20. Cool. This is 22 by 28 inches. I just thought, since we were talking about Larkin, I mean, look at that. Isn't that awesome?
Beast.
How did he get such a lifelike drawing of you during Dueling Dealers?
I know, and that awesome Sports Illustrated picture there. Yeah.
I don't understand. What like years ago you sent him pictures of yourself?
This was when I was in the Army. I was sort of buff.
Look at that cover. I mean, come on.
Isn't that
For my
great?
money, Larkin's Hulk is the greatest Hulk. Come
That is
on.
so
Look
cool.
at
I'm
that.
telling you, his Hulk magazine covers, man, were 1979. Look at that, 1979. But
Wow.
That thing is a
22
beast.
by 28 inches. Isn't that awesome?
That is cool.
Do I get that for free for being a guest on the show, Mike?
Oh, sure.
You
I'll
do.
check that, friend.
Hey, I noticed there's a lot more love in the comments for panel pages and covers. So, folks, I am glad to trade you panel pages for your covers, please.
Mike, that was a
Do you have
great
any
intro.
Romita ASM interiors? I have a couple covers, like right here. I'll trade.
Ron's
Thanks for
covers,
that.
silver
Hey,
covers.
I always tell people just a quick story with Will. Back in 1996, I picked up one of the last deals I did with Mitch Eclectic. I picked up the cover to Spider-Man 45, twice up cover.
1995, Mike. It was
Well, I
1995.
think I gave it to you in
Promise
96,
you.
though.
Because I drove out to Chicago to pick it up in 1995, and I set up there. That's the only
Okay,
reason.
yeah, I thought it was 96, but it might have been 95. But anyway, remember I got
Well, I'm glad we got that straight because
I basically got 15 interior large art Spidey pages for it.
I gave you 13
Yeah.
twice up pages, plus we counted the Romita poster as 1.5 pages, and I gave you something else. I don't know, but it was 15 equivalent. Yeah.
But I was just saying, yeah, I said I had to get those interiors.
Hey, Nick, you're getting it in reverse, buddy. I'm trading panels for covers, not covers for panels.
Yeah, I did that.
Yes, that is very true. So we kind of got off track, I think, a little bit.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Well, we're loving Larkin and paintings, yeah.
We absolutely are, and that's
Yeah,
something we
yeah,
haven't we've really not talked about.
Fantastic.
Yeah, share some more art, Big Mike.
Okay, well, I mean, probably my second favorite piece is right there, right behind me.
I was
Dazzler
wondering
number 3. I'll go ahead and proclaim that the Dazzler art market didn't exist before me because I was the idiot who was actually.
No, that's pretty much true. It's pretty much true.
And I got this from Brent Anderson, who drew the cover, inked by the great Joe Sinnott. Reached out to him just to see if he had it because this was actually the very first Dazzler comic I remember buying. You know, that classic story. You know, the book. You remember where you were when you bought it, what store it was. He told him in Miami, and all that, and he had it, and made a deal. I paid probably triple what most Dazzler covers were going for then, but I figured I know I wanted this one for sure, and he sent it to me like overnight. Got it immediately, and it's such a perfectly drawn cover that for a moment I thought it was a recreation. That's how clean the cover is.
Wow.
Like,
and you know, Darth Vader is such a great villain too.
Looking at this cover, it's been framed for a couple of years, but I used to pull this out of the portfolio every once in a while to look at it because I was in awe of how clean it was. Given it's a tricky cover, the whole design of her skating around and then winding up a doom, it was amazing. And Brent told me when I pried it from him, he was like, "I'm sure I'm going to regret this because it was the only time Joe ever inked me, and I wanted to keep it, but you know, guy decides to sell it, he sells it." I just love it. I mean, from there I bought off of Nadia. I just forgot her last name. Manarino.
Yes.
Manarino.
I bought the Dazzler 4 cover back then. She had a couple. I bought one or two from her, and then from some other collectors online. I think at one point I had like 6 Dazzler covers, including one that I got from your dueling dealers pal, Anthony. And then all of a sudden people started asking me for them. And I was like, oh, wow, now you guys who are laughing at me for asking for Dazzler art on the boards are all of a sudden, hey, any interest in selling that cover or this cover? I mean, I never really wanted to sell them, but, you know, as with 99.9% of us collectors out there, you want to buy something else, you got to sell something or you got to trade it. So you move some, you trade some. Probably the only one I really regret getting rid of was the Galactus 10. The Dazzler cover with Galactus on it. It's such a great cover from such a ridiculous storyline that somehow worked on the page to me.
Who was the artist?
It was Springer.
Oh,
Springer
what?
did that one. It's got a great image of Galactus. I auctioned that off, and I think Joe Schaefer had that. He may still have it, he may have sold it, but I think he was the one that bought it. But like I said, I take pride in the fact that before me, nobody gave a crap about Dazzler art. And then I priced myself out of the market. Because on Monday, I was trying to get some pages from like Dazzler 28. and all 3 of them went for like $1,000 each, and I was like, really?
Oh, last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, one went for $960, one went for $1,300, the other one went for $1,500.
$1,500 for
And they were late. They were
Run
each
Dazzler.
28. Yeah, but they were good pages. But wow, that shocked me too.
They were good pages, but you don't even see her in the Disco Dazzler uniform.
Right.
And you see her in the early ones. I was like, $1,500. As a man of principle, I had to say no. I had to stop myself there.
So why no Bee Gees background music if we're going to talk about that?
I didn't want to have Bill run into copyright issues.
I see. Right. Fair enough.
But no,
I would.
My love for the character is well known. I've gotten paid to actually do video features on the history of Dazzler, which I consider one of my crowning achievements. That somehow somebody was suckered into paying me to do that.
Yeah. What a crazy character. I think John Romita created her costume as well.
Yeah, well, John Romita Jr. certainly had a hand in it.
Yeah.
Helped him.
He drew the first issues, I know, the interiors, right?
Yeah, and he designed them. I mean, the initial design, John told me this great story, John Jr., about wanting to paint her, to make her resemble Grace Jones. And then they, that it's a whole convoluted story. Shameless plug. If you type in SYFY Dazzler, you'll find the history of Dazzler, including some details that a lot of people don't know or forget about. So that's out there. But I mean, aside from Dazzler, honestly, like a lot of collectors, I tend to buy what I like. I'm a Wonder Man guy, so I've owned a couple Wonder Man things. I just recently bought my first ever panel page of Wonder Man from Giant Size Avengers 3. Also, my first Dave Cockrum original. Bill, I think I sent you that image. I bought that from Bashar when he listed that. It's got a great image of Wendy in his original costume, which are, you guys know this better than me, they're really hard to find.
What's that? Oh, Wonder Man. Early Wonder Man.
Early Wonder Man pages in his original costume.
Wow.
Impossible to find.
Well, and you have Wonder Man fighting Vision, who Vision was modeled after Wonder Man. So that's right.
That's Giant Size Avengers 3, right?
Hey, and that's Kang on the page.
Yeah, Kang fighting Thor.
Yeah.
I saw this page on Bashar's when Bashar sent out his newsletter, and I was like, "Oh, I'm getting that." I bit the bullet.
Wonder Man's so big, he's flying out of his panel into the next.
Yeah, it's very Kane-esque.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, it's these are the kind of mistakes I was talking about earlier. Like as I've matured as a collector, and been smarter about my choices. I've seen that panel pages can give you a lot more bang for your buck, as you guys said, and also they kind of hit the nostalgia buttons even more than covers sometimes, because like I'm sure you guys did the same thing. You have certain favorite issues, you just read them over and over again, and those moments kind of struck you. I read this book over and over again when I got it because I was obsessed with Wonder Man. So any appearance that he made, I would buy, whether I buy it fresh off the newsstand. This was a little bit before my time, so I bought the back issue. And I mean, I read the covers of these things.
Hey, not to do a plug, but you got to watch our show tomorrow because I have something up your alley. So
great. I get to spend more money.
Pretty sure that sounds like a plug.
Something Wonder Man that you're going to love. That's all.
A hint, a plug,
I'm going to spend more money. Fine.
I hear that Larkin cover is only going to be $3,000 on the show.
Oh, yeah.
That's that's exciting.
No,
I like to claim it now.
I'm discounting it.
Can I put that in the comments? Oh yeah, we can't comment here.
Right.
I'll put it in the private comments. How about that?
Sure.
Claim.
There we go. Yeah.
I'll put a question out there for you when speaking about Wonder Man, because that was a character I think was out of favor for a long time. But I think clearly collectors, there's a lot of collectors out there who seem to like him and remember his stories fondly. Have you guys seen from your side of the transactional side of the transactional table, have you guys seen a rise in value in Wonder Man art, especially from that prime era Avengers run?
I mean, the Avengers pages, sure. Those earlier Perez Avengers pages, which are like, a lot of them are Marcos inked, and I forget who else worked around that time on George, but I mean, those pages have always been in demand, and the prices have gone up. And there's a handful of guys that really have the lion's share, I'll say. And yeah, I mean, those are. But I mean, as you know, broadly, I'm not sure if I can measure that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say that, like, you know, obviously all the Avengers pages have gone up in value just in general. Like, you know, all boats are sort of like rising, but specifically Wonder Man, I haven't seen any, you know, any particular bump. Mainly probably because they haven't used that character in Marvel Cinematic Universe yet. You know, I mean, obviously if they did, that would be sort of a game changer for that character. But
although the pages, you know, the Heck pages, I think they're Heck, right, from Avengers 9 that have Wonder Man's first appearance. I mean, those have obviously
those right.
I've seen 3 of those out there in the wild, including one without any Wonder Man. Like, I've literally seen 3 pages out there, and I know they're out there.
Now they're out.
Pages are out there.
Yeah, Avengers 9 is split up. Yeah, we've all pages, I think, here and there.
Yeah.
But Perez Wonder Man, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the Safari outfit. We all love
right now, still, like, I mean, my feeling is, Mike, like, you know, Wonder Man's wide open. You've got the franchise right now.
Great, I'm buying that page tomorrow, Mike. I'm claiming it right now.
Corner Wonder Man like you did Dazzler, yes.
The price will go up then. You'd be paying $1,500 a page if that were the case.
That's what you want if you're cornering the market, right?
Well, that's true. That is true.
Sometimes you only want to stay in a corner for so long, you got to move to a different corner, right?
Exactly.
Very true. There you go. Wonder Man is his buddy film. That's what we need.
Yes, Brian Beck. Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah, that would be one that I would definitely like to see.
Actually, that sounds like a great idea.
Somebody should write that.
Well, you could pitch Marvel as like a miniseries anyway.
Given the way they master plan everything, it could already be in the works.
Yeah, man, it's true.
You
it's
know?
true. Very true.
There's a buddy film for every set of Marvel characters, like, you know.
And they don't always involve Spider-Man, Mike. So
what?
It's not all Marvel team up, Mike.
I gotta respect Mike's ability to stay on brand.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I branched out. I started collecting Hulk back in 2003. I said, man, I can't find my Romita Spider-Man side. Hulk was my second favorite, so I'm going to just concentrate on Hulk covers. So I started collecting Hulk covers, so I branched out.
And like such a, you know, you were Spider-Man interiors and Hulk. It was such a weird dichotomy.
Yeah. What is that? Like, yeah, you're Spider-Man interiors, but your Hulk covers.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's like a little skewed.
I never cared for a lot of the Hulk stories, but I loved the covers as a kid. So I said, you know what, I'll just.
Now that you have all the Hulk covers and all the Spider-Man interiors, you need to pick a third item.
I know. I'm thinking, what's next? Well, I collect Christmas artwork too, so.
Well, just let us know in advance so we can get a few pieces.
Yeah.
Didn't you do some horror stuff for a while?
No. Early on, I used to have a ton of Punisher. I had probably half of all the Wolverine pages from issue 1 to 23 at one time. Wow. And I sold them all because I was just coning to Spider-Man. So didn't have the money, so I got to get rid of all the other ones. But I had a lot of Punisher and Wolverine art back in the early 90s.
Wish I could have been that focused. It would have made life a little simpler, maybe.
Well, everybody says I didn't branch out, and that's bad, so I don't know. But I think I did okay.
Focus is key for this hobby.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you did okay, Mike. I feel like you didn't do okay.
No, you know what I always tell people? You know, if you collect a little bit of everything, then that one thing you really want from your favorite comes up, and you can't get it because you bought these other things or the stuff you like but don't love, and then you regret it big time. So I said, just focus on one thing. That way you can just wait for that one thing, and boom.
Makes a lot of sense.
I agree. Covers. That's that's the conclusion I came to.
The cover guy, wait for the right cover. Sure. But that's how I was with Spider-Man. So I said, you know what? Just wait for your piece to come up. That way you don't have regrets. Because too many times I would collect other things, then a great Spidey, something I wanted. I go, nope, I don't have the money because I have this other stuff. So I'm getting rid of it and just concentrate on one thing. I always tell people Ditko was too expensive. So I said, that's out. McFarlane was way more than Romita early on. That's out. So that's why I said, okay. Then the annuals I didn't care for. So I said, okay, 39 to 297 ASM. That's it and nothing else. And
I think McFarlane might still be more than Romita currently.
It's
I
insane.
know. It's unbelievable. The
McFarlane has always been out of my price range, and I love McFarlane's Spidey art, but it's
great.
You know, it's fun. I remember the first McFarlane Spidey cover that I actually, the guy wouldn't sell it to me. I had to trade, and it was crazy because I traded a Byrne X-Men cover to get a McFarlane Spidey cover, plus he had to kick stuff back. But I bet nowadays that McFarlane Spidey cover is worth more than that Byrne X-Men cover. Those particular examples, at least.
wow.
Very
That's
possible.
nuts.
Very possible now.
Well,
That is crazy.
but Spidey 316 and X-Men 108.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. 316 is the
One of the
second or
best.
third greatest
Yeah.
Spidey covers.
I've been,
Wow.
But
I've been fortunate-
$2,500 back in, I don't know,
Yeah.
mid-90s.
Right.
I've been
right,
fortunate enough to hold about what I would estimate to be about $750,000 of McFarlane Spidey art that he still has.
Wow.
That he keeps in a portfolio that if you guys saw it would horrify you.
Wow.
Like I literally told Todd when we were shooting our documentary on him for SYFY that I go, I mean, I'll pass the hat around and I'll get you a new portfolio because like he had art in there, guys, that he had forgotten he had. Like there's a picture of me on Instagram somewhere where I posted of me holding up an early tryout page that he did drawing the FF and Dr. Doom, massive oversized board, and I'm holding it like this. It was incredible. But he had like a Spawn Batman cover that he did. He's got the double page splash from Spider-Man #1 that he drew.
Wow.
It's got a trade paperback cover with Venom on it. He's got the only cover that he's got left from his Amazing run. He had given it to his dad, and his dad trimmed the cover to fit it into a frame, which I bet wasn't even UV coated. And at one point, I think Todd got mad at his dad, who he adores. That's it. I'm taking this back. And so now he's got it back. It's not $299 was the one that just recently sold.
Right.
I believe it was $298 that he may have.
That's his first.
And he had that one.
Okay.
But it's like crazy. He has it, and it's just there, scattered. It's funny how some of these guys, even though they know the value, like Todd knows what it's worth, but he doesn't really think about it that much. But like Jim Lee too. I've seen the original art covers to X-Men #1, and I know Jim knows the value to him. And we're over at dinner at his house one day. We got a bunch of sushi, whatever, on the kitchen island. And we start doing, I tell him, we've had too much to drink. And I'm like, bring it out, Jim. Do some show and tell. And there's some people there who, one, don't know how obnoxious I can be about comic art. And two, don't know anything about comic art. So me and a couple of other guys who know what's coming up now are like, ooh, we're going to see the real covers. We're going to see the real covers. He brings out all 5 of the covers, along with some other choice pieces, and lays them out there. And we're all talking, and he's sharing some great war stories. And Jim Lee has the best war stories about comics in the 90s, except for maybe Rob Liefeld. And he puts them out there. And at one point, I'm like, oh my God. And I got to grab all the artwork because somebody had spilled some sushi from one of the takeout sushi thing. And it was like within like a foot of the pages. And I'm like, are you guys out of your minds? Meanwhile, everyone was ogling the X-Men covers and nobody was paying attention to the double page splash that he had from like X-Men 100 because he's a big Dave Cockrum fan. And that was a favorite issue of his. So he had that. This was a while back. And like nobody was paying attention to the, that Bronze Age classic. Everyone just, gagaing over the 90s art. But man, it's crazy how some people don't really like pay attention to the art and how fragile it can be in situations like that.
Oh, a lot of older collectors. I can tell you, one day visiting an older collector, and I definitely will not say who it is, sorry, but I just don't do that to people. But I was kind of rummaging around in his family room, and there was a Ditko Spidey pinup under a window, leaning up on the floor, under a window. The window was leaking. It was raining outside, and there were dribbles of water coming down the wall. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I said, "You got to put this somewhere else." What? I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you got 4 walls, that's the wrong wall.
Was it not in a bag?
It was in a bag, but still, I mean,
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Bag.
it could have been hermetically sealed. I mean, it just,
It had a windbreaker on.
Hey, and just real quick, I gotta clear up. I misspoke. Memory, you know, it was X-Men 114 cover that I traded for the Spidey 316, but I did also own the X-Men 108 at one point around that same time, and that is a Cochran cover. The Byrne
114 is the Beast and Jean Grey.
Yeah, it's they're you know, they're mourning over the death of the
Great
X-Men.
cover.
So.
Great cover.
And Nick Barucci mentions that Mike's videos are the best, from the Frank Miller interviews to the John Byrne ones. I'll definitely be linking to Mike's interviews.
Nick, thanks for the plug, pal.
Yeah.
You want to? I'll tell you what. You want to link to a fun one? Find one of my Frank Miller ones where he gives me a tour of his studio, because in there, I found a page of Jack Kirby pure pencils of the Forever People, a splash that Frank had lost in his studio for like a decade. Until our tour, and he's showing me the toys and statues. I don't give a crap about that. I'm looking at the art. All of a sudden, I looked down at the bottom of the cabinet, and it had fallen down from the top shelf to the bottom.
Wow!
It was there again, similar to your story, Will. It was in a crappy frame that horrified me, but it's Frank Miller, so I'm going to keep it to myself. But it was like, I mean, and it was beautiful. It was like, you know, prime Kirby, New Gods era, Fourth World stuff. Oh, it was just beautiful. And he had lost it for a decade in his own studio.
Mike, would you come over to my house and look around for some things?
I do have
I was thinking the same thing.
My finder's fee is about 60% off one of your Byrne FF pages.
Oh, there you go.
Well, it depends on what you like. If you find something,
it might be worth it, Glenn. It might be worth it. It just depends. You know.
It seems fair.
I once found a TTA 44 first appearance of the Wasp page underneath somebody's couch because I almost stepped on it. Because when I invited, he said, "Oh, have a seat. I'll be down in a minute." You know, invited us into his home and sat down on the couch, and I was getting comfortable, and I saw a little sliver of paper stick, and I pulled it out. And it was twice up.
Who are these people?
I had that whole story. I split up that whole story.
Who are these people that just throw pages under the couch?
I don't know. Doesn't happen here, but
you got to be careful when you get on the sofa for a little scotch and sofa. You know, you got to.
They must have all visited Steve Ditko before and took a page out of his book.
Mike, I'm starting to think you might have better stories than Liefeld and Jim Lee, because this is great.
Yeah,
but I would say
you found art. Yeah. So
you know what? I will fully admit, and a buddy of mine, FJ DeSanto, who will troll me about this later, we'll bring this up. I have shamelessly used my TV job to meet artists, bring them on to the various shows I've done, because my motto was always, if I got to wake up at 2 a.m. to produce morning television for the viewers at home, I need to book a few segments that I'm interested in watching in the control room, because I got to sit there for like 3 hours. And so what I started doing was, and it was right around the time that I, bought the Dazzler painting from John Mancuda and whatnot. I'm doing a morning show. And I'm producing 5 hours of morning TV on the weekends. So my weekends are pretty much shot, right? So at least I can, tickle my collecting, bones here a little bit. And so I started booking guys. I remember one of the first guys I booked was Joe Kubert. Had him come on and talk about Yosel. And we had him booked live. We had done a feature on his art school, which was awesome. Another guy who kept tons of his own art. While he was still with us, he kept it all at his school, and it was incredible. Told me some unbelievable stories while he was there, and just the nicest guy. If any of you guys ever met Kubert, I'm sure some of you guys have. Just the nicest guy, as well as being a consummate artist. So I book him on the show, and I give him the prime spot at the end of the 8 o'clock hour on Saturday. Mario Cantone is the guest before to promote his upcoming comedy show live at a local club. I can't remember the name. And Mario is of course, unbelievably hilarious. He's sitting there, he's cutting up, and he's great, but he's going way long, and we can't wrap the segment because the anchors aren't listening to me give the hard rap sign, which is what it's TV parlance for. You got to end the segment now and go to break, because it's live TV. We can't make up the time. But they're laughing so hard at what Mario's saying, they're not hearing, or they're just ignoring me. And we only had that one segment afterwards. There was no other place for me to steal time from for Joe. And so that segment with Joe ended up being like a minute and a half, and it was terrible. You don't want to put a comic book artist in that position to try to talk about a serious book like Yosel in a minute and a half. I felt terrible about it afterwards. I come out of the booth. Feel awful, and it's my show, and ultimately it's my fault. I gotta, take the hit, and I apologize. And I go, my bad, And he goes, oh, he's a total gentleman about it, disregards, and he hands me a piece of paper, and he wanted me to give it to Mario Cantone. It was a sketch that he was doing while he was waiting in the wings off camera, and he found some piece of paper, and he was trying to draw a sketch of Cantone as Sergeant Rock with a helmet and everything, and have it there. And Cantone got in his town car or whatever, and took off, and I couldn't give it to him. So somewhere in my collection, I've got a sketch done by Joe Kubert of Mario Cantone as Sergeant Rock, because that's how nice that guy Kubert is. But that's not even the best part of the story. Oh. There's a reporter at WNBC back then called Roseanne Coletti. She was the consumer reporter for a long time in New York City, and she had a lovely young daughter who was a big fan of manga and a very talented artist. She could really draw. She heard that a comic book artist was going to be on the show, so she brought her daughter in on her day off to see if she could meet the artist and just get a few minutes of time, some words of encouragement. Her daughter was, I think, 12 or 13 at the time. So I introduced them to Joe. The DC publicist takes off, and I told him I'll make sure Joe gets to the car to send him back home. And Joe starts talking. He goes, hey, Mike, do you have a place where we can go sit down and maybe some pencils or something? And I said, sure, you can come upstairs to the newsroom, and I'll sit you down at my desk. It was pretty empty. Saturday morning, it's kind of a ghost town. An hour and a half later, he wraps up an impromptu art lesson with this 12, 13-year-old, giving all sorts of tips and all this, sketched for her and showed her all designs on how to approach storytelling and this and that. It was like unbelievable. Yeah. And this was, you got to remember, this was not only a guy who probably got things to do and places he wanted to go to, but it was also after a pretty lousy segment. Yeah. That didn't go the way it should have. It was unbelievable. That was the kind of guy Joe Kubert was.
Wow.
And just to prove that I wasn't a total asshat.
That kind of guy.
And to prove that I wasn't a total asshat, I did have him come back on a few weeks later and do a proper segment on Yoso, which was a great graphic novel. But to me, Joe was the epitome of a class act from that day. And then from there, I booked, I think after Joe, I booked you and John Romita, Mike, to come on to talk about your Spidey collection. And you had John come on.
That was that was July of 2004. That was right when the Spider-Man 2 movie was coming out.
Right. Yeah. And you brought the cover. You brought the cover that day.
Which one?
You brought the Amazing
Spider-Man No More
cover.
50.
Oh, I did? No, I didn't. I didn't bring the 50 because I didn't own it yet. I bought it 9 years later. But I brought you a couple of covers back.
You brought something else, because what I remember laughing about in the control room was the anchors cared nothing about these, thousands of dollars worth of John Romita original artwork, but they were really interested in the Spider-Man toilet paper.
That Mike had Spider-Man toilet paper, a couple other things. I have that on VHS somewhere. I got to try to put it on a DVD.
That's what I remember. I also remember John drew Spidey head sketch, which I think I sent you a scan of, Bill.
Yes.
Yes, and I can confirm that Berkey only has Spider-Man toilet paper at his house.
I have Spider-Man Kleenex too.
That's true. And I'm sorry, Mike. Which piece?
You need something to clean up all that.
So next year when I come over to visit Mike, I should bring like a small bag of toilet paper.
Yeah, well, that's unopened in the Spider-Man toy room. Nobody's allowed to use that toilet paper.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I should
day.
The only way you get to use that paper, that toilet paper, is if some vultures come over and spend.
And just so you guys know, that Berkey is on selling 24/7, even waking up at the crack of dawn to get there to do a morning TV segment. He still managed to bring along a portfolio coincidentally loaded with pages that would appeal to my collecting habits. So that day, not only did I book him on there and get to meet the great John Romita, I walked out of there about $2,000 lighter because I bought a Romita cover to one of those Spidey giveaways with Firestar, Iceman, and Spidey.
Yes.
The Ice Show one.
Yeah, you were big into Firestar back then.
I was, and
I remember that.
You sold me the first drawing that John had done of Firestar, a color drawing, which is amazing. Right. That's probably one I regret selling, just because it was such a perfect. Actually, it's kind of like a perfect Mary Jane drawing because she really looked a lot like her.
Right.
But it was just perfect prime era Romita. I kicked myself for selling that one. But I'm glad I saw. I'll never sell the sketch because he did that for me, so I'll keep that one
on the show.
When Berkey goes to Vegas, like, you know, behind like Romita Spider-Man pages just sort of tumble out of his pants, like gamblers kind of follow him around.
Coincidentally, they're just there.
Yeah, but you know what the funny thing is, when I found out when Berkey goes to Vegas, he's pulling in some high rollers from the hobby to hang out with. That they don't really gamble, they don't, you know, but they're. That's their meeting place. I found this.
If I was an Avengers collector,
he was holding out on.
Coincidentally, had Avengers Wonder Man pages that day.
Yeah, funny story. Last time I went to Vegas, I had a guy that loves Carnage, and I actually flew to Vegas to bet on some football. But I met a guy, and I sold him almost a complete book of Kyle Holtz did a Carnage book in 1996, and I sold the guy the whole book minus like one page to a Kyle Holtz Carnage book he did back in 1990. So. Met him at the airport, did the transaction, and went to my hotel.
That's probably appreciated quite well.
Yeah, he said he specifically wanted Kyle Holtz Carnage, and I had the whole book I bought from Kyle Holtz, 15 years ago or something. Because parents lived local, so I used to buy Kyle Holtz art all the time from him.
What team did you put that artwork on in Vegas? Like,
I don't remember, to be honest.
Did you parlay it with the Browns?
No, I won all my money betting against the Browns when they went 0-16 in 2017.
Smart man.
0-16, yeah, in 17. So, but yeah, let's see some more of your great art, Big Mike.
Yeah, let's see some more stuff.
Good.
Let's see. I've got a long list of stuff here. Let's see what we got on here.
Oh,
Did you
nice.
get that from me, Mike?
I traded Berkey for this.
Yeah, I was gonna say I used to own that one.
Yeah.
Great Jim apparel.
First of all, I absolutely adore Jim's work, and it's really hard to find his Aquaman covers. Really hard. I traded you back a Batman splash, a Silver Age splash.
I remember that you bought it and I got it back.
For this, and you threw in like the Gil Kane Batman and Robin splash page. But I absolutely adore this cover because I'm a big Aquaman fan. Another shameless plug. I wrote the making of book for the movie, and I've just always loved the character because I know I've always been interested in him, even when he was in his cheesy phase during the Super Friends. But what's interesting about Aquaman, he's always had great artists on the book. Always. Yeah. Like name an era when Aquaman had a bad artist. You can't.
Yeah,
he's always had
Guardian apparel, and he even got Newton drew the greatest in the adventure comics. Aquaman did have all good artists back then. Yes.
Yeah. Oh God, I think I just emailed somebody about the splash page to this book trying to get it, but I don't think he wants to sell it. And I think I annoyed Nick Barucci by giving him an unintentionally lowball offer for an Aquaman splash that he had.
Are you you're a big Aquaman fan, Mike?
I am. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there so you can go ahead and make money off of me. I want a good 70s Aquaman splash page.
Oh, I was going to say, watch the show tomorrow night. Okay, good.
Of course. Coincidentally.
Hint.
Hey, it's already been done. It ain't like I'm doing this. Bill already has my list.
I do.
What show?
Bill has your list. Nobody else has.
I know.
Am I going to see a Dazzler page from last night's auction?
No. I didn't buy any of those. But I was shocked at how high they went.
They're crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think that cover is one of the best pieces of my collection because if anybody was reading comics in the 70s, you could spot Jim Aparo's art from a mile away.
Oh yeah.
There's like 4 guys that I could spot instantly, and he was one of them. And I know everyone loves his Batman stuff, as do I. I don't see too many Batman covers out there that really pull me in. But man, his Aquaman stuff is just the best.
Right.
The best.
Can't argue with that.
And Spectre. His Spectre is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the stuff that goes that everybody wants, and it's hard to find the Aparo Spectre stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Well, it was hard to find until, you know, a couple sold for like buku dollars, and you know, more came out. But
Right.
yeah,
Isn't that always how it happens?
It is.
much.
We're gonna see a lot of Mark Bagley Carnage covers and splashes come to auction very soon.
Oh yeah. I said I used to have half of all the pages, the 361, 363 years ago, and I can only imagine what they'd go for now.
Well, our buddy in your area, Mike, had so many Bagley covers. I think we both rated him and got a ton of Bagley covers from that guy.
Yeah.
Musician.
Yeah, you know, there's a few random, you know, stealth collectors here in the Miami area. When I moved back, I realized that, and about 3 years ago, maybe 4, but I think it was 3 years ago at a Florida SuperCon. I was just there browsing. Didn't have much money. I took some.
Oh, so I saw that thing ready to fall.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Good catch.
My little portable tripod here is in jeopardy here. So I was there with some friends' kids who wanted to check out a comic show, so I took them there, volunteered to do that, and I walked by a dealer. I literally saw 2 pages of comic art of this entire show. One was like an Archie page from 2005, and the other one was an.
Ruh-roh.
Oh,
What just happened here?
we lost.
Thanks,
the
Mikhail.
It went dark.
Ruh-roh.
There you go.
There
You
you're
guys got
back.
me there? So the other page there was a Eric Larson Spider-Man splash page.
Lost you again.
I think his webcam got disconnected on the USB port or something.
Uh-oh.
Using an iPhone, but I don't know what happened there. But whatever. I'll do it
Mike,
this
Mike
way.
makes quick
So the other
recoveries.
picture was an Eric
He's a
Larson
professional.
splash page from Spider-Man with Venom, a giant Venom image, and the guy was selling it for $7,500. And I remember thinking, I go, I don't know much about the '90s Venom art market. That seems like a steal because I knew about the rarity of Larson's artwork. And I said, "You gonna be here for a bit?" And I went to call somebody. When I came back, somebody had already bought it.
How long ago was that?
This was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I remember going to a Mid-Ohio con in like 92, 93, 94, and some guy had, I don't know if it was, because I think Mike Macklin was Larson's inker on those Venom issues, 332, 333, and I bought tons of Venom pages off them. They were you know, $100 a piece back then or less. But yeah, those, I don't see them ever, but they would go for a pretty penny now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sorry, I'm having trouble here with this tripod thing. I don't really want to hold the phone the entire time, but I may have to. Yeah, well, I'll do it this way.
You can take us around your office.
You know,
Your bedroom, I'm sorry.
well, I mean, there's a shelf with books.
Yeah.
You know, the books I like to read, books books I've written.
You got an award up there.
Yeah, that's my one and only Emmy.
That's what I said. It looks like an Emmy.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Hey.
it was that was my reward for spending 16 hours in the control room when Hurricane Sandy hit New York.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dang.
Oh.
the definition of a team effort.
2012, right?
Yeah.
2012.
You're probably one of the few original art collectors with an Emmy.
No, I know there's at least one.
Wow, but I'm saying one of the few.
Yeah.
One
No,
of the few.
look.
Yeah. No, there
literally-
is.
I've won like 2 awards. No, 3 awards in the news business, and 2 of them that were for the station to keep. So I was like, this is the first I could actually bring home. So I was happy about that. It's
That's
nice.
cool.
My girls actually get a kick out of that, so they get impressed. But I got to keep it on the shelf because they're still at that age where they might drop it and mess it up. Yeah. So while I have it here, hold on. So
Oh yeah, you have some art on the bed.
yeah, it's the bed of art. So this is my first real Jim Lee piece. He did this for me.
Wow. Nice.
I had him on my show. As I said, I've shamelessly used my TV, pull to meet comic artists. And I met Jim in 2005 during the PR tour for All-Star Batman and Robin. And he was supposed to join me with Frank Miller on the morning show, except that was Frank's wild period, and he kind of just went AWOL and never showed up. So Jim handled the duty solo, and we had a good time with him. And he was sketching like live on camera.
Hmm.
Like while doing the interview, he sketched like 2 Jokers and Batmans that he gave to the crew, like crazy stuff. He was barely even looking at the page. So afterwards, he was nice enough to say, "Yeah, I'll draw you a character. What do you want?" And I said, "How about Dazzler?" And after the initial chuckle, he said, "Sure."
After chuckling.
He finished this at New York Comic Con, and I posted some photos on my ComicartFans gallery page when it happened. He did this at Albert's booth, and he finished it there, and he started pulling stuff. If you notice, you see the circles there, right around there. He was doing that with like people's like what do you call it? Cup holders and things like that. He was just grabbing random things. He grabbed somebody's business card and like, found whiteout somewhere and was just flicking it around the page. It was like performance art. And by the time he finished it, there were like 75 people around the booth watching him do it. So it was awesome. It was great.
Wow,
It was really nice, and it was it's one of my favorite pieces and one that I constantly get emails about.
What's
and
the
guys,
other
it's still not for sale.
I
got a
don't believe
couple other pieces on the bed. What's the other piece?
What do you got? Okay, my one and only John Byrne original.
Ah,
He did this for me after our first interview. He asked to if we wanted him to draw, and I said sure. And
that's a
draw
big
next
piece.
Really nice.
That's
This
big.
is, I think, 18 by 24.
Yes, that's a big.
So we only had, the problem with this was we only had Sharpies and like 1 pencil in the studio. And he goes, "Okay, I'll make it work." And at the end, if you look at
That's gorgeous.
the dedication, oh so rough, because he was so embarrassed about it. He goes, "I can't even give this to Jim Warden to sell, so just keep it." And I said, "If you insist, John, I will keep it."
It's nice of you to do him a favor, Mike.
I'm a very selfless guy, Glenn. So I kept it. So I kept it. What else? I just bought.
I really like his composition of that Cyclops, though. It's,
what?
Very,
what he told me?
It's very sparse, but it's like everything feels like it's in the right place.
There's a video on YouTube of him drawing this, and we did very little editing of it. He's just insanely fast, and he just looked at the page for a second. I remember he threw a few barbs aimed at Rob Liefeld while he was thinking about what he was going to draw, and then he just went to work. And I'm telling you, he was done in like 11 minutes.
Wow,
nuts!
Amazing.
And talking just at the same time. Not too many artists can narrate and also draw at the same time. He's one of the few that can do it well, and I think he enjoyed the fact that I asked him to do Cyclops instead of Wolverine. So, what else do I got? I got this Spider-Man. This is the Star Wars page from issue 85 by Bob McLeod. You guys know better than me. Spider-Man Star Wars pages.
That's Berkey. That's slipping that word into your head, Mike.
Yeah, it is. See, he's got me talking about it. So Star Wars pages are impossible to find.
Yes.
So I was lucky enough to get this one recently, and I like it because it's got some of the main characters.
All the characters: Han Solo, Lando Calrissian, Chewbacca.
I also like that the word balloons are lettered on the page.
There you go.
Yes. Yeah. Back in the good old days, as we say.
The good old days. Oh, wait. Speaking of the guy.
Safari.
There's Wendy.
Safari jacket.
Yeah, man.
I think that's more of a leisure suit.
It's a safari jacket, Glenn. Get it straight. Get it straight. Igor Cordy. I love the Tales of the Marvels miniseries that he did, and I bought a couple of pages from Jim Warden, and they're remarkably affordable. Speaking of painted art, this is a steal.
I don't know, Mike. It looks like Simon just came in from Ocean Drive down your neck night out.
Hey, Simon would kill it on Ocean Drive. You kidding me? Avenger, he would crush it there. And then this is, Bill, I sent you a better scanner. This is my one and only page with Talia al Ghul.
Nice.
And, I have a fondness for the character for a number of reasons, but one is because I enjoyed the character so much I named my second daughter after her. The problem with that is she's my youngest daughter, and by the time I named her, Talia al Ghul pages were through the roof. So it's been really hard to find pages I can afford with her.
All right.
You know, so
What title is that from? Is
that
that a
is
graphic novel?
It's Jerry Bingham,
Ah,
Son of the
which
Demon.
one was that? Son of the Demon or something?
Oh,
What
it
was
is Son of the Demon.
Yeah, and what's great about it, it's large art.
that? Right. Those were done large. Yeah.
And it's just beautiful. I love the layout of the page. You know, she shows up in it, hits all the spots. It's got Batman in it, but more importantly, it's got him talking to Talia. So it's exactly the page that I was looking for. I'm always trying to keep an eye out, but I think the non-Neil Adams pages are next to impossible to find.
Right.
Reason the Neil Adams
Very-
come up, but the other ones rarely ever come up for air.
I would say Jerry Bingham, another underrated artist too.
Yes.
This stuff is good.
Yes.
Mhm.
Will, I owe you an email about something Bingham related, if it's not too late.
Well, let's look at a few more pieces here.
Yeah.
It was
We've got a
tempting.
lot.
Wowza.
It's nice looking.
Lee Bermejo.
What kind of outfit is he wearing? Is he ready for the army, huh?
Lee Bermejo, man.
So that's
beautiful.
that famous Infantino
Yeah.
sort of like his version of that.
Right.
Yeah. I'm a
Famous
big fan of
piece of
Lee's
art.
work, and you know, I love that image, and I know I'm never going to own the original. So
We got bricks. We got bricks.
Oh,
That's right.
I thought Lee. First of all, I told Lee, I go, I just want people who know that original image to be able to recognize it, but do your thing. When I commission people, I've started doing a few of them just because it's really the only way I can do it with some artists. You know, guys like Walt Simonson, they don't sell their art.
Right.
The few pieces that are out there are crazy expensive. So if I can come up with a good idea, I'll do it. But I prefer to let them do their thing. And man, Lee just
This
hit
is the winner.
buttons.
It's a winner of an idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I mean-
beautiful.
And by the way, the detail in there, I had no idea he was going to do all that. Like it was
It is
crazy.
gorgeous.
yeah.
Beautiful. I love this.
It-
And if anyone at DC is watching, you should make this into a variant cover because people will buy this.
No, that is true. That is
Right?
true.
Yeah, no, that would be a good variant cover.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Bermejo's been doing a lot of digital cover work of late
Yeah.
too. So it's nice to see originals still coming out of him.
No, see, somebody agrees with you. Scott agrees with you. That needs to be a cover.
Absolutely.
I think he's the best current Batman artist, and I don't even think it's close.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
saying something because
Yeah.
Pulo's awesome, but what Bermejo does with Batman is so distinctive that you know I'm sure DC's tried to get him to draw interiors for an ongoing Batman book, and he's decided you know his time is better suited elsewhere. But man, I've told him before, I go, if you would do a good Hush-like run on Batman, like that, where you do covers and interiors, man, you will just cement your legend in the Batman mythos.
David Finch is pretty darn good at Batman these days too. I think.
Yes, he is. They're
Again,
both-
just like with Aquaman, there are no bad Batman artists.
right.
Well, there could be some bad Batman. Like, you know, if I were to draw, for example.
Yes.
Yeah.
So would mine.
Mike agrees.
Like, is there an era of Batman that's had a bad artist?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of good ones out there. That's for sure.
You have more art there, Billy?
I do. This is an eclectic piece right here.
Wow.
All right.
All right. So my oldest daughter is obsessed with Michael Jackson. We haven't had that awkward conversation about the latter day Michael Jackson, but I'm letting her enjoy her fascination with his music. And so I said, maybe she'd like comic art. Maybe I could finally get my daughter interested in my hobby by doing this. And so this came up for auction. I think it was Comic Connect, and it came up. There were 2 pages in an auction. I grabbed this one, and it's just an awesome page. Tom Yates. Look at the likeness there. It's unbelievable.
I said the mixed media is beautiful on that.
Yeah, and it's a large art. I got it framed. It's in her room, and I was like, I can finally say that I've got comic art in my daughter's room. Like my youngest has a Batman in there. My oldest didn't want it, even though it was dedicated to her. Sorry, Jim. But this one goes up in the room, and it's nice.
Now, what title was this? This was a one-shot, obviously.
This is from the Captain EO 3D comic that they put out
Oh, okay.
in Disney World.
Okay, like in 83 or something, in the 80s, yeah.
Is that still, that ride isn't still there, right?
Well, it was there. They got rid of it, and then I heard they brought it back. Because that used to be, remember they did Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. That left, and Honey, I Shrunk the Audience took it over. Then I heard they brought Captain EO back, I heard. But maybe it's gone again just because of stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I think after he had his problems, they got rid of it.
But they had brought it back, I remember.
Right.
I remember when I first went to Disney in '93, they had it there.
I'm sure there's a video of at least part of the attraction.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But I liked that. I bought that one because I figured, you know what, that'll be the one piece of art that my ex won't complain about me spending stupid money on because it's for the kids.
Right, right.
Dude, when you gotta tap dance your way around this blasted hobby. You gotta figure out ways.
You're a crafty man, Mr. Avila.
Yeah.
Hey man, you gotta learn some tricks sometimes. You gotta learn some tricks. So, but I like that page. I love the likeness of it, and I love the way it was designed. It's just a great page.
Agreed, agreed. More Billy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Darwin Cook.
Darwin. Wow.
My one and only Darwin.
Is that a commission or published?
This was a commission that he did for somebody. I bought it off Hans at Tri-State when he posted it. It's like, you guys know, and so do many others, that New Frontier, Darwin art never comes up,
Right.
especially not the primo pieces.
Not the good
So
one.
I saw this, and I mean, come on, look at that page. It reeks of Darwin, first of all. So I was like, I'm definitely gonna get it. And then on the backside, there's a prelim to a scene from the New Frontier. So it's like, I feel like I can scratch my New Frontier itch a little bit because of that, you know, while I wait for somebody to sell it.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, it's
I mean,
pretty clear that Flash is faster than Superman, though, from this illustration.
hey, if Darwin did it that way, then that's canon. Darwin knows.
Well,
that.
he is the Flash fastest man alive.
Now, Glenn, because of this, that's the only reason I didn't go crazy and bid on that recreation that Darwin did. I think did you buy that at auction?
Yeah, I bought it. I sold it to a collector, but yeah, I did. I bought it at auction.
It was a great recreation.
That was great. Yeah, really, really fantastic. Because it was like the best of like, you know, the Infantino layout with Darwin finishes. It just looked fantastic.
I love this piece. As a matter of fact, I think this is the one and only time I've ever won an award on the annual end of the year CAF awards.
Oh, okay.
I think I won Best Commission the year.
I remember that. You did.
And let's be honest, it was well deserved. Come on. I mean, whoever paid for that commission.
Gotta be honest.
Whoever paid for that commission, whatever he paid was a bargain.
Right.
Right.
That was a beauty. Here's a Dazzler interior.
Yeah, that's the.
Oh, man.
Wow, FF.
Yeah, that was the very first page.
FF, Angel.
Who's the artist on this one?
That was Springer.
We're losing your audio a little bit, Mike.
Springer.
Yeah, I think sometimes you're putting your hand over the where the
All
mic
right.
is on the phone.
Oh,
Is that better?
That's
perfect.
perfect.
Okay. Yeah, so this is Springer. He did, I believe Springer did more art for the Dazzler series than just about any other artist. And it wasn't.
Yeah, I think he was the Dazzler artist, no doubt.
He definitely was.
Main forte for sure.
Yeah, so I love the page just because it's got a bunch of really cool characters, but it's also the first page. So I read so many of the stories about people regretting selling the first page, so I'm not going to sell that one.
I thought you told us you sold your first page.
No, this is the first page.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is what you got for $7?
Yep.
Ah, okay.
The magic of eBay, when eBay was actually a place where you could find really
Yes.
good art.
eBay was great back in the late 90s, boy.
I mean, Mike, I believe that was 2000.
Oh, yeah?
When I got the
Wow.
and I got like I
still
got
go
like
through.
the Micronauts cover, maybe in 2001.
Wow.
That's back when you could look through the entire eBay original art section. It was like 7 pages long. You could,
Right.
Did I miss anything?
I do remember that. Those were the days, Will. Those were
Yeah,
the
that
days.
was before they had like the color guides and the
Transparencies.
things
Production art.
and
Yeah, that people
greeting-
create at
greeting
their local
cards
Depot's.
and now it's like 50,000 pages of muck and a few good items in between.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you find like I found I got a Micronauts page recently through eBay. The interior page section is literally the only section worth a damn on eBay now in terms of finding art. And I think some sellers find it works well for them because I know some guys been selling Star Wars interiors and they're going for top dollar on there. But I got a Micronauts page recently that was pretty cool from Luke Ross, and I was shocked that it was there, and I was shocked that I got it like a somewhat decent price by today's standard.
Right.
Right.
It doesn't happen often anymore.
No, but
Twinkie.
Twinkies, yay!
Super
Still
Twinkies.
at Swan. Didn't Swan Coletta do almost all the Twinkies for them?
Swan did a lot of them. Yeah.
Swan
Yeah, I
did a
know
lot of
Swan did a lot.
Tex Blaisdell.
Yeah, Blake. Is it Blake?
Blaisdell.
He inked a lot of them because
Yes.
Heritage was selling. I think this was actually from the text collection because
Okay.
I got this from Heritage.
Oh, okay.
When they unloaded a couple years ago, they unloaded like 8 of them.
They did have a lot of text. Yes.
I
Blaisdell
picked up
was,
the Superman one. I should have gone for the Hawkman one. That was pretty good. So I've got this one, and then I've got the Spidey one.
Now there's a real piece of art.
Oh man, I love this one.
I was gonna say, are you sure you wanted to mention that here?
Spidey meets the bikers.
Wow,
As a matter of
I
fact,
remember
Mike,
that.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Spider-Man, I have been on the lookout for another Hostess page that has Mary Jane on it because I'm a big fan of Mary Jane, and it was listed up for auction on Heritage years ago. I've never seen it come up for air since, and it didn't sell at Heritage.
Huh.
And like I've never seen it elsewhere, and I've been dying to find it, and never ever seen it come up again. And if anyone out there is watching this and knows where that page is, or the other Hostess page with Mary Jane, let me know.
That's right. We got Spidey and bricks. Thank you, Dino and Alfredo.
You
And
love the
Rich.
bricks.
And Rich. Spidey and those bricks.
You know,
I thought you only liked Romita bricks. Now you're getting excited about any brick we like sharing.
I do. Romita's bricks are the best bricks, but the other guys are okay.
I don't think I've ever tried a Twinkie, ever.
What?
Oh man,
They actually,
you haven't lived.
Oh no. Philadelphia area, we have tasty cakes, which blow Twinkies.
Oh no,
away.
they don't. No, they don't.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Stop it.
I've had them. I think
People around the country that are from this area, they send to get cases of tasty cakes sent to other parts of the country. Trust me. Nobody does that with Twinkies.
I say thee nay, sir. Did Marvel or DC do advertisements for
Thank you, Bill.
tasty cakes? No. Therefore, Hostess.
They needed the boost.
there was a big bust up about Hostess dropped Superman from their campaign because he got a super tummy ache from eating the Twinkie. So,
Yeah, because you can't digest.
Sorry.
They never, they're permanently preserved.
Right.
Yeah,
It lasts forever. That's why they're so cool.
apparently, there was a Twinkie in Chernobyl that is like still perfect. Like from when the.
Well,
Oh
the
my
expiration
God.
date on those boxes is like 10 years in the future, so I'm not surprised.
I cannot believe here Nick and Ruben with the Twinkie comments. You gotta try Twinkie cakes, gentlemen. Trust me. And Nick, come on, you're from the area. Come on, really? Tasty cakes. The plants.
Ruben and
20
Nick know
minutes
what's
from here.
They know what's up.
It's all good.
And being from Cleveland, I do appreciate that comment, Marcus.
Yeah. Bricks.
Yeah, we love the bricks here.
Wow. A sports comment. I love it.
Yeah.
Are they saying like La Brick?
No, they mean that we can't put it in the basket.
I know.
Bill,
but
are
they used to
our
call
sports
LeBron
comments
La
allowed
Brick
on here?
when they didn't
I
think he
didn't
was
realize
good.
that.
Oh man,
It's all good.
it
Hey,
is.
who was the artist on that Spider-Man? Was that an Andrew?
No.
On the Hostess.
I believe it was Esposito.
He penciled
It's
Annie?
credited as Esposito.
All Esposito? Wow.
You might know. You would know better than me.
No, I was just wondering if it was Andrew Esposito. I was just going to say because I don't remember Mike Esposito being credited as pencil and inker on anything ever.
Now, Mike, here's one for you. Do you think the DC or the Marvel Hostess ads are easier to find?
The DC.
And it's not a trick question. I'm asking you.
No, the DC one's easy.
Okay.
In the last 3 or 4, I've owned like 3. Actually, I bought one off Mike, a Josie and the Pussycats one. That sold within 5 seconds because he underpriced it. Because he told me that, he goes, "Wow, you got a bargain." I had like 5 guys say that I was an idiot for listening for that.
Yeah.
I remember that email. The Marvel ones are really hard to find. There's a couple of collectors that have a lot of the DC ones on CAF. And I've seen like 8 of them come up for auction in the last few years because Tex, Texas Family, I guess, put them up for sale. But the Marvel ones, really hard to find, especially the Spidey ones.
I would say in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Marvel ones were much easier to find. You didn't see the DC, and now it's completely switched.
Really? Oh, man.
I don't remember seeing many DC back then. I remember seeing Marvel, though. But just curious what your take was on it.
Yeah, it's definitely reversed now. I mean,
yeah.
I'm telling you, I've had 2 offers on Marvel ones over the last 2 years. And at auction, I haven't seen one. Like, I bought this, direct from another collector. I mean, I don't know. I don't get to the the comic art shows that often, but I know when I've gone to some of the major shows and flipped through portfolios, I've never seen one out in the wild there.
No, those ads disappear. They don't last very long.
Yeah,
they used to be more plentiful. I mean, I remember they were bounced, but now it seems like collectors really like them. They're like, you get a lot of art and they're fun. But it seemed like, maybe like 8 years ago or so that there were like a whole bunch of Marvel ones out there that were sort of bouncing, and you could have. I saw there were some good ones. I think even Mike had like by Andrew and Esposito that I remember. Like there were a few of them.
Yeah, our buddy Mark Tomlinson was one of the first guys that had a bunch of. He was collecting the Hostess ads. If you remember, Mark, reach out to Mark Tomlinson. I'm sure he has a bunch.
Yeah, I will. I know Mark.
He was one of the first guys collecting them like 10, 15, 20 years ago from me back in the day. So.
Hey, Stanley asks, is there any other snack comic art like pop art? I've seen Coca-Cola, I believe, and I think I've seen cereal.
I have some really cool Ron Friends artwork that was cards that were in Eskimo pies back in the early 2000s.
Eskimo pies.
He did a redo.
Not a fan of those.
He did a redo of Amazing Fantasy 15 and a redo of the Spidey 284 cover in card format, and I have the art to that.
What is he like holding an Eskimo pie underneath his arm?
No, they're just cards that were in the boxes, but they're actually they look just like the comics.
Oh, I get you.
There's no ice cream affiliation on it. It says Eskimo pies at the top of each drawing. Yeah. But I'm just trying to think of other things. Snack-wise.
There were soup cans in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I remember some X-Men artists did a candy bar. What the heck was that? And they did a comic book tie-in to it that you could send in a couple of candy wrappers and you get an X-Men comic.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the artist was.
I think Heritage has one with Captain. It's coming up for auction next week, or in the big one, but the Captain America and Spider-Man with the Campbell Soup Kids.
I remember that one.
So yeah.
All right, I gotta ask all you guys. This is a very serious question. What would each of you do for a Klondike bar?
Absolutely nothing.
Well, I love Klondikes. I always say, Klondike bars. If I was their marketing manager, they'd make tons of money because to me, their chocolate on the outsides are the best ever. I said they got to do double dipped chocolate, and they would sell them out.
How many Romita pages would you give up for a Klondike bar if you were on a desert island, Mike?
To me, their coating is too thin. They got to do double dipped Klondikes because the chocolate is so good.
Only the small art pages, Glenn. Yeah. He wouldn't do any of the large art pages.
Yeah, just small art.
You got to have at least a case of Klondike.
Well, I would start at Andrews. I couldn't do Romita.
I was going to say post 150 small size. Start
at Andrews and work your way up. Yeah.
Really, the Ross Andrew pages that you never respond to me about when I ask you about him?
Oh, you like those?
Oh,
I've emailed you like 5 times.
Oh,
Show me some Ross Andrew art. He doesn't even respond, guys. He doesn't even respond.
well,
no.
Mike, that's his answer.
Correct.
If he didn't respond, that's his answer. That
He doesn't want to
that's
sell
what
it.
I've
Will knows
told you a
that.
couple times. That's my answer,
I
buddy.
can take rejection. Just say no.
The silent treatment is his way of saying no.
Come on, you've got to have some Ross Andrew stuff stashed there in the archives.
I do.
Send me an email. Show me some pics.
Email me, and I'll send you my list.
All right.
Just think, you just had to come on here and have witnesses out there.
There
Right.
you go.
Now we're all
He's been publicly called out because he knows I'm a big Ross Andrew fan.
You are. Where's
You're
your
right.
collection? Show me Andrew in your collection.
I can't because guys like you won't call me and tell
What?
me.
Oh!
Don't you remember I even asked you for a quote for my story that I did on him.
He wants to show you what a
months ago.
fan he is by writing you a check or PayPal your way.
Really?
he's been trying to get a page for years from you, Mike.
You know, I do like that Dazzler 1 cover. We're worth the
Oh!
Here we
I mean,
go.
I'm sorry, your Spider-Man 1 cover. I'm sorry.
Oh!
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow, hit the guy where he lives.
Hitting them low, man. That's
Cheap shot, uncalled for.
No, I said you email me and I'll send you my entire list. I have it.
Thanks,
Oh
buddy.
man.
He also likes that Darth Vader Dazzler cover you have too.
Oh, the Darth Vader cover is good too.
Stop with the Darth Vader. That is Dr. Doom, sir. Put some respect on his name. Put
confused.
some respect on his name.
Well, it's just that a certain mega producer, I think, confused Dr. Doom and
Yeah, I get a little pop culture confusion in my old age.
We got 4 more pieces of artwork to look at.
Okay,
All right,
let's get serious.
All right. This scan is a little rough, but I kept it in here, Mike.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
so
that's nice looking. Look at that.
one of the prizes
Nice.
in my collection.
Yeah.
Wow. Is that
Joe Kubert
is
drew
that what
for
you
me.
did that day or
No, he sent
Oh,
that to
man.
me a month later.
Oh wow.
The messenger center downstairs at NBC calls me and says, "You have a package." And I go, "From who?" "From Joe Kubert." And I was like, "Wait, what?" Ran down, left the user, went down there, see what it is. And he had drawn this for me, and he wrote me a note saying, "I know you're a big fan of Hawkman, so I thought you'd like this."
Wow, that's
I
so
mean,
cool.
No, that's fantastic.
Look at that thing. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
That is
Beautiful.
stunning.
That looks like it should be a tattoo on somebody's arm.
So is it
Seriously.
on? It's like on colored paper or something.
It's on a cardboard.
Okay.
Okay.
And like I had it in a portfolio that's still in my ex's place, so I didn't have a chance to get it before Bill needed the scans. But it's just awesome. He did it on a cardboard. I think it's like 10 by, there's 10-inch square cardboard. It's just perfect, and the signature, everything. I love it. Like I'm a big Hawkman fan.
fantastic.
Period.
He's
But-
got a great signature, Kubert.
He does.
Right? Isn't that signature perfect?
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
very consistent. If you look at the signatures on
It's
lot
a
of
pretty
his art and everything,
simple,
Very
printed signature, and yet it's fantastic. Unmistakable.
Did
love
I
that
ever
piece.
tell you just real quick, did I ever tell you my funny Romita Joe Kubert story?
I was
I
gonna
might
say,
have
how do
done
we
it,
go to
Joe.
Romita? We're just on Kubert.
Yeah, it's like
No, it's about Kubert.
you've got a Romita story for every artist, I think.
Yeah, Romita met Kubert. This is a true story. John Romita meets Joe Kubert for the first time, and Romita says to Kubert, "I love your father's work from the early 40s." He goes, "I love your father's work." He was serious. And Kubert goes, "That was me." Because Kubert was drawing when he was like 16, 17.
That's awesome.
Because Romita didn't, because he's only a couple years older than Romita, and he was drawing like in 42, 43.
That's right.
Whatever.
That's right.
And Romita said, "I love your father's work," and Kubert had to tell him because he was drawing when he was in high school. And Kubert said, "That was me," and he said they got the biggest laugh ever.
That is amazing.
I have to agree with the very last comment. Everybody should have a Kubert Hawkman.
Oh man.
Let's see
Hold it
that.
up. Is that the real deal?
Look at that thing.
Nice.
That is, Curtis. I remember buying that one off the stands.
Damn.
You could
Love
buy it
that
off
cover.
my hands right now, Mike. If
I
you
love that cover.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, no, it's a nice
beauty.
looking cover.
I mean, Kubert Hawkman doesn't get much better in the hobby than that.
Yeah.
It just came in. That's only. It was right here.
That's a beaut.
All right, let's
Oh,
see.
wow.
Come on, we got what?
You got 3 more.
Oh,
No, I
there's the
want to see
Micronauts
because the
page.
last one. I
There's your
really-
Micronauts.
Look at that.
Oh,
It's got
yeah.
everything you'd want if you're a Micronauts guy. It's got the main characters perfectly drawn. Love the layout. I was thrilled to get this page because Micronauts pages are also not easy to find.
Very sought after nowadays. Yes,
Yes, in the last few years, somehow, some way that has happened.
Who's the guy that has like a bunch of this stuff? Is it Andrew Allen?
Yeah,
He's the Micronauts
Yep.
guy. He's got an insane collection of
Now,
killer
he's-
Micronauts art.
he is a resourceful fellow. Nice guy, resourceful though to find what he's found.
See? The focus pays off.
Super focused, yeah.
Yeah.
But nice looking page.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I said, the rare eBay bargain.
Is that Geis?
It's Luke Ross.
It's Ross. Okay. Okay.
Wow, I didn't know he drew that back.
But
When-
you know what?
what
it
period
sort of
is
has
Oh, that's from the new Voyages.
Geis
Yeah.
to it.
That's
What
from the
year?
almost the last issue, I think, of the New Voyages before they went to that.
5.
What they went to like a
6?
a limited series after that or something. I don't remember. They were doing all sorts of funky stuff with the Micronauts then.
I hate to show this next piece, but I'm going to do it.
Oh boy.
Come on. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You know what? That should be framed. That
Oh.
should be on the wall right above your bed. That should be on the ceiling so you look at it every morning you wake up.
And especially because you share the same name with the guy speaking. Who, Mike? Best wishes. Love,
John did
Grandpa.
John did that at the studio in 04, right?
Yep. And like it was crazy. He did that in the middle of a conversation in like 4 minutes. I couldn't believe how easily he did it. It was effortless. It was awesome.
Believe it or not, he did another one exactly, and I have it because it even says NBC Studios 2004. I think he
No.
was going to give it to somebody, and they weren't there. And he said, "You want it?" I said, "Sure."
Wow.
I have another one that says NBC Studios 2004. I think he might have done it when we were like in the green room or something.
Wow. That's awesome.
All you have to do is give him snacks and he draws for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
The great John Romita. I'm
I
surprised
should
he
have
didn't
taken
paint
him to
it.
that diner near his house, Mike. I thought that was the secret.
Yeah.
Stick him in the green room. Give him some food. They'll draw pictures for you.
You know what?
The diner
Over,
food.
in my
That is
day,
amazing.
I've had quite a few artists draw for people. I've had Jim Lee at CBS when I was producing there, on the wings, 2 minutes away from going on to talk about his run on Superman with Scott Snyder, and he drew a full-figured Superman in flight for the co-host of the show, Lisa Kearney, who was like 8.5 months pregnant, and he goes, "Oh, she's pregnant? Do you know what she's having?" And I don't know, but she's definitely pregnant. He goes, "Hold on, you got something to draw?" He found a couple pencils and he had some paper because Jim Lee always goes somewhere with paper to draw on, and he drew an insanely cool Superman figure for her in like 2 minutes flat. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
I remember
crazy
when,
how these guys can draw.
I remember I was watching Jim Lee when iPads first came out and he was like starting to draw like I feel like Jim feels like no matter what the medium he has to be able to draw like superheroes. Like he has to like be proficient. Like if you gave him like fish from the ocean, he could like somehow like put that into like a picture, like draw with it. And like, I mean, I just feel like he just, like he's one of these guys that feels like give me anything, give me anything. And I'll make a Batman picture out of it. Or
Well, with
doesn't matter
Fish,
what-
he should be drawing Aquaman, but
well, he should be, but I'm just saying, like he likes Batman, but, which is why, he probably drew like when you asked him to do Dazzler, he'd probably already sketched out Batman and you were like, no, Dazzler. And he's like, okay, I gotta adjust this now. And it's Dazzler.
you could have had Batman
Here's
doing
a-
the Batman with Dazzler. I mean,
Nice.
That'd be good.
Susie reference. Very nice.
I try.
There is some expertise on this panel right here.
Hey, we know Batsuzi, we know Dazzler, we know
I'm telling you.
Romita.
You say tomato. I say Ramada.
Something like that.
Last artwork I have
I thought
in
there
the
was two more.
queue.
This one? Okay, yeah.
That's right. Yep. Nope. One more.
Bill, you know better.
Oh, there you go.
I remember that
One
cover.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. I basically came on this show to just, revel in the fact that I've given 3 of you guys tons of my money over the years.
You can make it a 4th one anytime you want, Mike.
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to play favorites, Mike.
I was thrilled to see this because the Star Wars weekly covers are the only chance that I'm ever going to have to own like an old school Star Wars comic cover.
Right.
And they're great because, 99% of them are fantastic. I like this one, even with the weird overlay, because thankfully the original art is underneath where you can see Infantino's original face.
Right.
And I just love it. I mean, Star Wars art for me is always on my list because that was one of those series when that movie came out and the comic came out, it was right at the beginning of my fandom. And so I always associate that series. I was reading that series almost to the end. I think I dropped out finally around like the late 80s issues. I think it petered out at 106 or something. But I was a diehard Star Wars fan for most of that run because it was so batshit crazy and creative, the things that they did, that you couldn't help but enjoy it. And talking to some of the creators over the years about it, it's been interesting to see that it was so creative because they had carte blanche because Star Wars grew so big so fast that Lucasfilm couldn't clamp down on IP until like the early 80s, which is why the movie posters around the world, if you're into that sort of thing, Star Wars movie posters for the first 2 movies are insane overseas. And it's because Lucasfilm didn't have the apparatus in place then to really maintain control over their IP. It was the same thing with Marvel. Really around like 83, after Return of the Jedi was when they were really able to, okay, here are the notes we have. You can't do this, you can't do that. It's the reason why John Byrne dropped out of the Indiana Jones series, which he was dying to do. But then when he realized he was having to get, receive notes from the Lucasfilm liaison,
Right.
After he'd written and dropped the issue, he was like, no, thanks, I'm out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to have to deal with, like, Marvel editors and then, like, and then the owners of the IP. And it's like, you have to, if they don't like something, you have to go draw it again. Yeah.
I mean, this was Byrne in 84. Byrne didn't have to deal with any editor at Marvel about anything except when do you want this? And it'll be done. But he goes, once the Lucasfilm people started getting involved, he was like, no, thanks, I'm out. Later.
Right.
Which is our loss. Because a Byrne Indiana Jones series would have been awesome.
Would have been awesome, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Would have been
there.
Getting notes sucks. Yeah. What's your next interview that you're looking forward to, Mike?
Shoot. Video wise, it won't be for a while until conventions open up again, which I really hope it's in the fall. I'm sure we all do.
Yeah.
Right.
But I just talked to Christopher Priest last week. Did a fun piece that ran yesterday about his 1983 Falcon miniseries. Artist wise, dude, I've been trying to track down a couple of guys, and it's been tricky. Like I've been trying to get Mark Bright and Keith Pollard to talk with me. Two stalwarts of the Marvel Bronze Age.
Right.
Yes.
And I mean, those guys do so many great books, and I've never spoken to them. They don't do a lot of conventions, so when the conventions were up and running, I didn't see them there. Other than that, I'm trying to think who. I mean, I've got a couple irons in the fire that I don't want to say out loud now because they may jinx it. But there's a couple of big names that I'll be talking to. Guys that I've talked to before, but not in a while.
You can tell them you're talking to me, Mike. It's okay.
What about like?
I will put this out there. If any of the Kuberts are out there watching, I want to talk to you guys because you guys are doing awesome stuff, and it's hard to reach them. It's really hard to reach them.
Hey, they're one of the royal families of the hobby,
and they're still at the top of the game, drawing insanely cool stuff. Like the Wolverine series with Ben Percy. It's like the best series Marvel has going right now.
Hey, before we wrap up, where can people see your interviews?
If you go to YouTube, you look for the Sci-Fi Wire YouTube channel, you'll see a ton of my interviews under the Behind the Panel tab. You'll also find the Todd McFarlane documentary that I produced last year, which I was quite proud of. And also the 5-part.
Somebody sent the link. Yeah. Oh, is that Bill? Oh, Bill sent that. Okay.
Thank you,
Yes,
Bill.
that's right. You're quite welcome.
Yay.
There's somebody out there named Comicart Live.
The 5-part image documentary series is also pretty cool that I think will interest a lot of the people that might be watching this. Except maybe Rob Liefeld. I don't think he was a fan of it. But everyone else was, I think.
And your John Romita interview was awesome too.
Yeah, honestly, that's the one that I'll plug the hardest because I was quite proud of that because I talked to John for like an hour. He was very generous with his time. And we broke it up into segments against my wishes. And so last year during the pandemic, when we had some time to kill and we needed some content, I said, guys, we've got a killer interview sitting there. And they fought me tooth and nail. And the fact that it had like 200,000 views within like 2 days proved me right.
Wow, I didn't realize that. That's awesome.
I'm not a genius. I just know that people love John Romita.
Yeah.
Right, Mike?
True.
One of the sweetest men ever.
That's what Berkey always says.
Inspiration, perspiration.
Yeah.
Got something.
I don't even know. No, he's a great man first and then a great artist. I always tell people.
I'm with you on that, Mike. I don't care what these jokers say
Yeah.
about you. I'm with you on that. He's a great dude. And yeah, if you want to find that piece, you'll enjoy it. It's like 15 minutes long and it'll feel like 2.
Yeah.
Because of the great editing.
He talks about everything.
And because of John Romita. It had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with John. So.
Yeah. It was awesome. Right in his living room. It was awesome.
I haven't seen that one. I did see the Byrne interview. So and the Miller.
I saw the Byrne interview. Yeah.
Those were career highlights for me. All those right there, the Byrne and the Romita ones.
Okay.
For sure.
So.
Well, whenever you come out with your next one, Mike, let me know, and I'll definitely plug it and get it in our news on CAF and spread the good word.
Thank you, man. I do appreciate it. You've linked to a bunch of them before, and I'm sure that's helped. And a lot of the guys on the Facebook Comic Art Collectors group I know have also shared it. So I do appreciate it if you guys are out there watching. So this has been fun.
Thanks so much.
Comic Art Jazz with you guys.
It's really fun having you.
Yep. Had a great time, Big Mike. Had a great time.
I owe you guys some emails about stuff
send me an email
after I send.
Mike Berkey owes you an email tonight.
I'll send you a list as soon as I get the email.
Andrew work.
Andrew. Andrew. Draws Spider-Man.
Just real quick before we get off, I had met Ross Andrew, but way before the interview. This is like around 93, I think. But anyway, he's from Bill. He lives in Hudson, Ohio. He grew up. He had relatives that one city over from me. We were going to meet up. We all talked. We were going to meet up. We talked on the phone a couple of times. He was always smoking. Here, he got sick and passed away right after.
Oh, terrible.
We were actually going to meet when he said he had to come to Hudson, Ohio to visit relatives. I go, I got to meet you. And then he got ill and passed.
Oh, man.
That's not the way we wanted to end our show, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that.
The lesson there is don't put things off.
I'm just saying, I was this close to meeting them, and I would have took a zillion photos.
Will, let's try to salvage this by ending on a positive note. Guys, when the conventions return, hit Artist Alley. You see your heroes, say hi to your heroes. Do it. Don't regret it. Don't be like Mike. Don't make the downer note at the end of the interview.
Yeah.
Meet your heroes, say hi to your heroes, thank your heroes.
But I got a lot of his art, so that's my memory. So. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you know that, Mike?
Now you're just trolling me now.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. All right. On that note. Yes. Thanks for tuning in tonight, everybody. Hit the like button. Pound on it like a Hulk smash. That would make every one of us very happy. And Dueling Dealers is tomorrow night. So tune into that as well. All right. Thanks again, Mike. I appreciate it.
A pleasure.
We get the comment, Glenn.
Take care, everybody.